Hey guys, Dissenter Magic here, and it's time to ask the question that people have been asking nonstop for, 10 or so years. Why hasn't Wizards fixed the foil problem? And here's how bad the problem is. You already know what I'm talking about, and I didn't even say it yet. It's foil cards curving in just the open air. You practically have to vacuum seal the things to get them to not curve over time. I mean, even I put them straight into penny sleeves within 60 seconds of them coming out of the packs. Now, I've seen a pattern lately, and maybe this just might be me personally not seeing it, but I don't think that Wizards of the Coast has ever commented on this. It seems like whenever there's a problem and it's like a really big PR thing, they just ignore it. They just don't release any kind of press release unless it's a certain type of thing that they're planning to overreact to. Like if somebody calls a card racist or says this is that or this person did that, they will jump on that so quick. It's like the PR department's, Christmas or something. But if there's like a defect, like for example, the fact that Eldritch Moon was basically completely mappable, but not in the traditional box mapping sense, if you're like OG Magic, remember how that worked. All the mythics were basically in one type of artwork per box. I never saw Wizards have any kind of announcement, comment, interview questions, nothing. I don't recall anything. Maybe they released like one short little statement about them looking into it or denying it or something. Considering everybody was talking about it and everybody wanted answers, it would have been nice to make a video or an announcement page or something about it or a Facebook post. But no, it's nothing but negative, so they just say, screw it. They can't flip it to a positive by saying, oh, this person was in the past a rapist, and so we're going to kick him out of the tournament to make a statement because player safety, yay, and they turn it into a positive. That literally happened like a year ago, by the way. I did not just make that up. That is a thing that happened. So, hey, your foils are bending. Where's the positive? Unless they're about to announce that they're about to fix it, they're not going to comment on it. And I think that's, typical corporate procedure. That's what most businesses would do. If they don't have a solution, they're not just going to come out and even so much as apologize. So the real question remains, why do they curve? And I think I know why. Now, if you've been following the foil research series over time, which that's a little generous, let me catch you up real quick because I'm apparently the lead researcher in the department of foil cards. The conclusion thus far is we have absolutely no more of an idea than we did before if they're actually metal or if they're just some kind of really shiny plastic, or both. The official, some wiki entry somewhere from someone who apparently knows what they're talking about, says that Wizards has claimed that it's a laminate, which could mean quite literally anything. It really doesn't even speak to the materials. All it really confirms is what we already knew, that they use a blue resin to stick the cards together. So we've hit it with a taser, we've lit cards on fire, we've used high voltage electricity, citric acid, boiling the cards. A lot of stuff seems to point to it not being metallic, but then we put it in the microwave and it sparked like crazy, so who knows. But whether it's plastic or metal, I think what the problem actually is that paper either loses water by, just evaporating it and then it kind of dries out and changes density, or the opposite. Humidity comes onto the card and it expands or contracts based on absorbing water. And for all I know, it's both. I don't know. Paper is real picky. You guys know that. So whatever happens to the paper portion of the card doesn't happen to the laminate portion, and then one side is more contracted than the other and it curves. So now here's where it gets weird. You might think this is such a simple video topic, but it gets really strange. First, they had one method of foiling, and then the cards curved and whatever, people didn't like it. So very recently, I think, I don't remember when this was, I just remember vaguely seeing the announcement, they changed the foiling method for standard sets at least a couple sets ago. I think it had something to do with they showed off some blanks and the laminate layer had direct printing on it, like red was on the Chandra card and green was on Nissa. I think it might have been Origins that they did that too, but I'm not 100% sure. But I do remember them stating something about changing the foiling method. And then, they did look cooler, and they said that they were going to do that from now on. And guess what? They still curve. So they made the cards look prettier and changed the method, and unless they changed the method to be cheaper for them to produce and then announced it like it's a big thing, like a big improvement, I can't imagine why they didn't address the one problem with them, which is that they curve and they're really hard to play with. Then let's go to the new and improved, even more new and even more improved and completely different method that they use for From the Vault, we'll say, because that's a good example. They have stated that they use a completely different foiling method, and the cards are supposed to look better, the ink is better, whatever. I don't know. They never go into specifics, probably for counterfeiting reasons. So those cards look amazing, but guess what? I don't know if you've seen some From the Vault cards, but they curve twice as much and twice as easily. They literally made a premium foiling method, an improved foiling method, and managed to unimprove the worst defect of the cards. I mean, that's insane. When they were testing it, did they just not care? Are they not aware of it? I don't think either of those are true. So I just find that really, really weird that they did not address it at all with their new premium type of foiling. So they've allegedly, from what I've heard, and this, who knows, it might be inaccurate, who knows. I just remember them saying something about they improved it, and then they used a different method even further for the premium cards. Neither one of those fixes actually fixed it, which actually leads me to believe that it's just really damn expensive to fix the problem. How do you make a plastic or a metal or some kind of composite material act like paper when exposed to different levels of air and humidity? That's almost impossible. So maybe it's just literally not doable, or they haven't, figured out the chemistry yet, and that would just take so much money and research that they're just like, whatever, put them in sleeves. Anything other than money just doesn't make sense, and I've heard them all. I have heard all the conspiracy theories. I really wish they wouldn't have named the last set Conspiracy, because now everything I say is a double entendre with the set. I've heard that there's supposed to be collectors only items that are supposed to be in binders and not played with. Well, then why do they print them so commonly? I mean, it's in 1 in 4 packs. They're pretty common. Typically, collector's items that are not meant to be played, if they're printed at those volumes, just tank. They're just completely worthless. Like, for example, the gold bordered cards that you can win at like tournaments or whatever, they're not playable, and so they're worth like a quarter as much as the actual card in some cases, which is hilarious because they're much, much, much more rare. And of course, I mean, what's the whole motivation? You might open one, it's worth a ton of money because it's more rare and people want them to put in their deck and make their deck look pretty and shiny, which, I mean, I'm a total sucker for foils, so yeah. So I think they were intended to be played with, and I'm very certain that Wizards is aware of the problem. I think they've seen a card before or left one out for a couple hours. So really, it just goes back to I think it's too expensive to fix, and that, whatever. I mean, do you really want to pay more per packs just to get ones that don't curve? I mean, some of you might have just answered yes. I'm tempted to answer yes. As a singles seller, I do find them pretty hard to, keep climate controlled and sealed and all this stuff so that they don't curve. And I'm so sick of ordering cards that are like 7 years old and they're foils, and I get them and they're like 30-degree arcs. And it actually gets worse as far as like actual problems, because you're probably thinking, I just straighten them out whenever they get curved and it lasts a while and not a big deal, right? Now, this is not necessarily reliable information. This is like a friend of a friend of a friend told me that this might be a thing, but you could get your deck it would not pass inspection at like a large tournament if a foil was curved, because it affects the cut, it affects the shuffle, and you might be able to identify it either in the middle or certainly on the top of your deck just because of how it's raised. And that sounds legit. I mean, that sounds realistic because, I mean, why wouldn't you say it's marked if it's curved significantly? So allegedly, you're really not supposed to bring foils to a professional level tournament because it might be considered a marked card, and you might just they might just say, okay, swap it, or here's a proxy, or they might say, hey, you're disqualified, you're actively cheating, which I kind of doubt that. That would be a really crappy way to have something bad happen to you at a tournament, though, that's for sure. So they really ought to fix it, I mean, just for that. Given Wizards' silence on the issue, I don't think it's going to be fixed anytime soon, though. So my pro tip of the day is either double sleeve them, which honestly I just hate people who double sleeve their decks. They shuffle like crap, they look like crap, it tends to mark up the sleeves. I just don't like it. If my deck costs $1,000, damn right I'd double sleeve it. But people who do it to their like $75 standard decks, probably because they just want to imitate a pro and look more intimidating, you'd almost be better off just playing with a mostly foiled out deck if you want to be intimidating. What I've noticed is if you've got really good, tight, high-quality sleeves, the foils tend to pretty much, for the most part, not go nuts, Also, if your deck box is mostly airtight, you're going to have a lot less problems if there's no, air leaks. You'd have to get a pretty high-quality one. I wouldn't say that describes most of them, but I've had a couple where I've had foils in there for 2 years, open it up, and there they are. And since you guys know that I sell singles, what I do tend to do is take like a top and bottom box, like a 800 or 1,000 or 400, 600, whatever. Like a BCW box, basically. Well, one of the white ones. And I'll take every single foil that I open and immediately put it in a penny sleeve. And then once they're all together, I immediately put them in there. And believe it or not, even being cardboard, it's pretty darn airtight. It's not really what I would assign the adjective airtight to, but it's infinitely better than being out in the open air. There's basically just not a lot of airflow going in and out of the box. And really, I've never had a problem with it. And for my higher end ones, I tend to put them in a penny sleeve, then put them in a really thin top loader, like I think a 24 point, something like that. And then I just put scotch tape over the top and then store them that way because, storing them in top loaders prevents damage. So that's how I do my foil mythics usually, and some foil rares, and it just tends to work. So if you're looking for a solution, there it is. But I don't think that people should avoid playing with them. You can't just say, okay, I've got this like $4 foil, and it's pretty nice, and it's a rare, but I don't want to, have it bend over time, and I don't want to make sure that, no air is getting in the sleeve and all that, so I'm just not going to play with it. Nah, just play with it. If it starts curving, try to uncurve it, and if it can't, just eventually replace it. At least you got some play time out of it. Cards do sometimes get damaged over time, and that's just, foils are just worse. But definitely get the playtime out of them and enjoy them and make your deck look pretty. So if anybody has any statements from Wizards about the foil problem, if there's any plans to fix it, or if they've confirmed that they just can't reasonably fix it, I'd love to hear about that, because you guys know I've only been playing Magic for like 4.5 years, something like that. If you're wondering how that statement differs from other time estimates I've given, it's because I thought M13 came out in 2013. But then I was watching my own video about my banana deck and saw September 2013 on a Bident of Thassa from Theros. So apparently I've been playing for a little bit longer than I thought. Although maybe that was a reprint. I am honestly just way too lazy to look up when M13 came out. Okay, fine, I just did. July 2012. I started playing somewhere between M13 and M14. I think it was shortly after M13 cycled out, something like that. So yeah, I've been playing for a while. I know that slightly contradicts the math from before, but I'm not going to do the math. I hate time math. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. I would never make it as a Time Lord. So anyway, don't forget to vacuum pack your seals, and I'll see you guys next video.